Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. I'm hoping this is going to be a pretty informative one to go alongside the London system videos I did. I know a lot of you guys are playing the London system from watching my free YouTube videos or from buying my chess base video. But since I did those videos, the chess base one, obviously theory has developed. So what I'm doing here, I'm basically giving you all the up-to-date theory from what I know of what has happened in the last probably year in the London system since I recorded my DVD. So this is really an updated thing, and there's a lot of secrets, a lot of interesting little moves and theoretical discussions I'm going to show you here to really help you get the best experience you can for the London system. Now, before I do that, I just want to tell you that I'm streaming tonight. So if you watch this in time, it is Wednesday, and I'm streaming at 9 PM British Summer Time. So do come along and join in there. It's probably going to be on my Twitch channel. It could be on twitch.tv/chess as well, but it'll be in one of those two. So you should be able to find me. And obviously another thing I would also like to say, I'm trying to push my course I've just done, the 17-hour course, which I mentioned in my last video. We all need to do these things, a little bit of promotion. Now, so I'm going to show you a little clip, because I think it's quite a funny clip. I kind of hate watching myself. I think everyone does, but I'm gonna play the clip in a second. And bonus points for anyone who can guess where it was filmed, and that's probably the best thing about the clip. Certainly not me, but a lot of people have asked me about this 16-hour course I made, which is probably my toughest ever thing I've done. Really, basically, can you get a little sample for free? Yes, you can. You can get a sample for free, and I told you this in the last video, but the link is there at the top, www.ichess.net, Simon Williams, opening shortcuts. If you type that into your browser, I put a link below, then you'll get a couple of hours of this course for free. And obviously it's 50% off until Saturday, then the price goes up, so get your purchase in while you can, I'd say. And really, it's a course where I've tried to really help people improve who don't have a lot of time to do with chess. So I'll try to condense tricks to improve in a short period. But before I show you the London system thing, and I won't be sales pitching for the rest of my life, I just want to push this course because it's a good opportunity for me to make some cash so I can do more YouTube videos, and I don't have to do other work. And I really believe that this course is one of the better things I've done as well. But before I go on to the London system, I'm just going to show you this quite funny video I did. I think it's funny, but it's a little advert for the course. And then I'll show you the secrets of the London system. So, okay, here we go. Oh, not that one. That's another one. Hello, my name is Grandmaster Simon Williams, aka the GingerGM, and welcome to the GingerGM method, a method of chess that I think and hope will help you guys improve as a player. Now, what are the key things in this method? First of all, don't waste your time learning stuff which is not going to help you. We're going to get rid of that. This course is going to help you guys who don't have a lot of time. Maybe you've got lives outside of chess as well. So we're going to be very efficient in what we learn in this course. And this is a lifetime's experience of me being a teacher. I'm going to share my secrets with you to improve you guys and improve your guys' chess. So for a limited time, there's going to be money off this course. Make sure you click on the link below and get this course now. It will improve your chess. So what do you reckon? If I ever get out of the chess game, do I have a job in the sales game? Can I get down with the sales? Whoa, I don't know, maybe, but I think I'll stick to the chess game. Okay, anyway, so now on to the latest developments in the London system. And the first thing I wanted to show you is an idea in one of the main lines. And basically, as I've discussed before, I'm not going to go over the material I've done before. I'm going to assume you've looked at the other material, my other YouTube videos at least. But very quickly, there are 3 ways that black, in my opinion, can play against the London system, and you've got to be aware how to adopt and change against each of these three ways. Now, the standard way is with d5, and that's option number 1. Option number 2 is knight to f6 and then g6, King's Indian defense. And option number 3 is knight to f6 and c5, or c5 straight away. So they're the three options I kind of, mainly talked about. Now, in this game, I'm just taking a very recent game between one of the chess bras, Aman Hamilton, really nice guy, and he's got a bloody good beard. His beard grows a lot quicker than mine. I'm very jealous. And Justin Wang. And Justin Wang is an up-and-coming player from America. But in this game, Aman plays an idea which was first played by current Dutch champion Jordan van Foreest, a very young, talented 2600 player, and it's an improvement on some analysis I've done before. So I'll now show you this little secret analysis here. So I say this is option number 1 we're going to see, but the move order is slightly different to what we've discussed. So it starts with knight to f6, and now bishop to f4, e6. And my basic rule is, as soon as they go e6, you can play knight to f3, and I've discussed why in some of these other videos. c5. Now you've got to think: do I defend the d4 square with e3 or c3? Which one do I do? And this is always a question you've got to ask yourself. And another thing you've got to bear in mind is that whenever your opponent plays c5, the move to watch out for next is queen to b6. This is the main move to keep an eye on. In this particular position, e3 is correct, because if you go c3, then queen b6 is a little bit annoying. But after e3, if queen b6 is played, then white has a very strong idea, and that is knight to c3, trying to punish this queen coming out. And now, really, the only logical continuation is queen takes pawn, and here knight to b5 gives white a very strong initiative. The queen here is in trouble, the knight is ready to dive in, it's only cost us a pawn. So remember, when c5 is played, always consider which pawn you play to defend the d4 square. And after this, knight c6. Now Aman plays knight bd2. Again, he's watching out for queen b6. Now that move can be met by knight to c4 very simply. So d5, c3, and now the main move. Now, I don't have much faith in bishop e7 for black. I think white gets a fantastic attack with bishop d3, and then later on ideas of h4, knight e5, and even g4. And this gives white a very big attack. Whoever says the London system is boring can go and do one. So that is the way to play against this. I think white's got a very nice game. Now, it's funny how things change, because that used to be the old way that white played against the London system. But then, I would say in the last 5 years, most top grandmasters from the black perspective have been playing bishop to d6. So this is what you'll see at elite level on the most occurrences. And I think personally this will change, because I think white has a number of ways to get a very pleasant position against this move. What is black trying to achieve? Black is trying to swap off pieces and basically make his position easier to play. Get equality by swapping off pieces. And now already we should think of some positional things. Let's always note that the bishop on c8 is a very bad piece. It's trapped behind the pawns, so you want to keep it that way. But we meet bishop d6 with bishop g3. Discussed this all before. And now the main line, castles, bishop d3. And again, theory has changed. About a year ago, it was thought that queen e7 was a way to equalize the black. But then white found a very clever idea. Knight to e5. And now after knight d7, which again goes with black's idea of exchanging pieces, white found a very strong and brilliant idea of going knight takes knight, bishop takes bishop, pawn takes pawn, and in this position he has a tactical blow. Otherwise black would be absolutely fine, maybe even better, because he has more pawns in the center of the board. But bishop takes h7 check and queen check, and then knight to e4. And I'm going through this quickly because I've talked about it before, but I'm just doing a little refresher for you as well. And with the knight coming to g5, white's attack is very strong. So it was then, I'm just telling you the history of the London system as it's developing as well. It was then black in black's court to try to find something here, because black realised Queen e7 wasn't equalised. So black then played b6. And this was, for a while, considered an equalising move, again, because white was often playing the knight into e5 here. But this is actually a bit premature now. And then white found some other ideas to play. Now, there are two moves I recommend. One is Queen e2, with the slow idea of going rook d1 and e4. But a move and that's the way I've played this position in the past, but a move I would now play, and this is what I think everyone should do if you get this position, e4 immediately is really, again, throwing the ball back into black's court, and this move gives white some fantastic attacking possibilities, and it's a very simple move to play. So this is my recommendation, current theory at this moment in time. Now, what is the point? Well, the point is you're threatening e5, winning a piece. So if black takes on d4, boom, a piece drops by the wayside. And if black takes on e4, we're now trying to take advantage of this diagonal. We go knight takes e4, hitting the bishop. Black really has to exchange on e4. Bishop takes e4, and now bishop b7 is pretty much forced. And now pawn takes c5. Bishop takes c5, and here I think there are two good moves. You can exchange queens and go knight to e5, slightly better, or very simply just castling kingside is better for white. White has a nice stable advantage here. Okay, there's not so many tactics in this particular position, but if you can get an advantage out the opening risk-free, that's what you want in life. But you should also, when you're analysing your games, a little versatile tip here. You know, a lot of books will stop at a position like this and say slightly better for white. Now, I found so many times that that's pretty irrelevant for the average player, because the average player had probably got to that point in the book, stopped, but when they actually get it in a game, they're thinking, okay, well, this is better for white, but what the hell do I do? Why is it better for white? Why? And again, you should always be asking yourself, why and what? The W's, basically. Why is this better for white? What should you be doing? And your general plans here are really to go b4, and that will make the bishop quite uncomfortable. It has to go to a very passive square. And also, knight to e5 is a main idea, because then you're going to try to win the bishop pair, and you're pressurizing this square. And, you know, you can even go queen e2 and rook d1 if you get a chance. If black exchanges queens, you're going to be quite a lot better. You have the open file. And generally, in this kind of pawn structure, 3 versus 2, you get this in a number of openings. Who does this favour? Generally, it favours white for the ending, because in chess, you want to create a pass pawn where you have a majority of pawns, and white will be creating a pass pawn on the queen side. Black will be trying to create a pass pawn on the e file. Eventually, this is long term, you know, f4 and e3, and white is going to go b4 and c5. This is how you get a pass pawn. Which pass pawn is going to be more dangerous in the ending? It's going to be white's pass c pawn, because black's king is a lot further from getting in front of that pawn, stopping that pawn from advancing. On the other hand, black's e pawn is relatively, you know, easy to stop because the king is nearer. It's a small thing, but it makes quite a lot of difference, trust me. And it's these things I think, you know, you've got to bear in mind that books don't always tell you. So basically it was thought here that black's best move was bishop e7. And now after e5, this is the way you want to play, knight to h5 was giving as equal. And there were many games, and I recommended a3 here and slow manoeuvring. But then it was the young Jordan Van Forest who found an exceptionally brilliant and dangerous idea in this position. It's an idea the computers don't necessarily like, but it shows great understanding on the part of Jordan. A great talent to know that this leads to very long-term attacking chances. And the move here, which is the first novelty that I want to show you, and the move that I think gives white a lovely position, is knight to g5. The point of this is you're trying to take on f7, and you're also releasing the queen against the knight. if black takes on g3, he gets a lost position. A little tactic here. I'm going to go for this quite quick, a lot to cover. Bishop takes h7, king here. And now you don't take on g3, because actually black can take here and drop his bishop back to avoid a check. But what you do play very craftily is knight takes f7 check. And after rook takes, you now take here. And white is completely winning. The bishop's going to check, the queen's coming in. Ginormous attack. Harry the h-files come to life. So after here, really the position is forced. Black has to take on g5, and we get a 4 sequence now. Queen takes h5, threatening checkmate. Black now has to gain a tempo. Otherwise, white will bring his knight over. Look at those white pieces attacking. The bishop is so strong. So black has to go g6, but this weakens the dark squares around the king, because you've moved a pawn to a light square, weakening the opposite colour squares. The queen comes back to e2, and now black's got to try to get something from the position. So he does win a pawn, but now another reason I love this, I want to hear you shout, Harry, Harry. And here he comes, h4. And white has a very easy attack. You want to just play h5, blast open the h-file, checkmate black, and then go to dinner with a bottle of champagne. Something like that, eh? Wouldn't that be nice? Can't afford champagne down in Surrey, though, dear boy. Has to be a very cheap beer. And lots of it sometimes. On occasions, not so much. But okay, and this seems very good for black, for white. What does black do? And computers don't realise how dangerous this position is. But black really, in my opinion, has a choice of either taking on d2 or retreating. So very quickly, if he takes on d2, we just go queen takes, and look at those dark squares around the king. Absolutely horrible for black. I wouldn't be surprised if black's just losing here. I mean, or worse, but practically speaking, white has everything his way. This was how the original game went. It went pawn takes c3, pawn takes d4, trying to open things up. Nope. If white just stops any counterplay in the middle and on the queen side, he's going to checkmate black on the king side. Simple technique. Queen e7, desperately trying to get the queens off. Nope. And now black was so scared of h5 and bishop to h4 to f6, queen h6, queen g7. Boom, checkmate idea. He played h5 himself, but after bishop f4, already I think this is disgusting for black. That bishop is going to sneak its way into f6. The queen is also coming in to h6, and you may even have g4 followed by h5. Black is getting mated. So this new development, and let's just have a look after h4 at the other possibility, which is bishop h6. Well, Aman Hamilton here just played Harry 5, and after g5, look at this little bishop. He played knight to f3. This knight may even come to g4. Pawn takes c3, and now given time, I think that knight will maneuver itself around with a big attack. Maybe also you can just go bishop c2, queen d3, checkmate, another idea. And after f5 he took, and then he just castled kingside. And even though he's a pawn down, white has a good initiative, because you have very nice square. This square, for example, bishop g7, bishop b5, the black king is exposed, and it's a very pleasant attacking position. And that's the first novelty, and that's the first development I want to tell you about in one of the main lines. And this is something you could certainly catch some people out with. So in the main line after b6, I'm saying e4. If black plays the best move, bishop e7, we push on and then flick the knight into the danger zone, and we gain a good position. Okay, so that is the first thing I wanted to talk about, but let's now move on to the next thing. And this is something which I didn't cover enough in my DVD. I mean, I'm quite happy with the London System DVD, but I didn't cover this next system enough. Bishop f5. And this is the symmetrical system. So what do you do against this? And this is certainly something you need to know about. Well, there are two ways to play. One is safe, one is a bit more risky. One way to play is to play e3 and bishop d3. This is what Magnus Carlsen did. The other way to play is with e3 and then with c4. One of the only times in the London system you push that pawn 2 squares. Why c4 in this position? Why is c4 now a possibility, you might be shouting? Well, it's because the bishop's moved to f5, leaving some of the light squares weak, especially b7. So if you can go c4 and queen b3, then this pawn on b7 and the pawn on d5 are going to become targets. So that's why c4 is an aggressive way. So let's have a look at these two options. Well, first we go e3, and now black does the symmetrical e6. And now let's have a look at the safer option first. So Magnus Carlsen played bishop d3 against Anish Giri, and he won. And it's not easy to beat Anish, so it's got to have something to it. And the point of this is that after bishop takes bishop, otherwise we will probably take on f5, damaging black's pawns. So bishop takes bishop, queen takes. Black cannot keep the symmetrical nature of the position, because if he does go bishop d6, we're going to have queen b5 at some point, and then we're just going to nick this pawn over here, and that's very annoying for black. So you can't allow that. So black can't keep it symmetrical, so he has to play a move like c6. And now with knight d2, white is slightly better, but it's only slightly better because the pawn structure is very similar. Why is white better? Because he has 3 pieces developed. He's ahead in development. Later on, you can try to move with e4, open things up, and just play in a very simple fashion. And so I'm not going to go further. That's a simple way to play against a symmetrical variation. So it's just e3 and bishop d3. But the more adventurous way is e3 and then c4. Now, I think black is now forced with his next sequence, because if black allows white to play knight c3 and queen b3, white is going to, of course, be better, because you're hitting b7 and d5. Of course, white must be better. So black is forced to take on b1. And this looks very scary for white. Now, actually, because there's a check coming in, you have to move your king. Now, there's 2 ways to catch it. I mean, Magnus actually took with the rook here, but I quite like queen takes. And now, well, you know, if you're allowed to keep the 2 bishops and black can't do something, you're going to have a great position. So he has to go check. And now king b1. And this looks bad for white because you moved your king. But in actual fact, I really like white's position. You've got this extra bishop. It's going to be very handy later on. Black can't realistically get an attack against your king, because it's very hard to open the position up. And the king is going to sort itself out. Once you've moved your bishop on f1, it's going to come back to e2. And I think white's slightly better here. Now, there's a game Kirill Georgiev played against another Grandmaster, which continued pawn takes c4, bishop takes c4, bishop d6, and you normally always meet this with bishop g3, c5, trying to open up against the king. But look, your plan is just knight f3, king e2, rook d1, and you're happy. Exactly what white did. Well, he gave a little cheeky check first, and then he played knight to f3, and now he eventually played well, okay, he eventually got king e2 and rook d1. Worth noting, e5 runs into queen c5 check, and after g6, king e2. Who's better? White is better. White must be better here. It's actually the black king which is in more danger. So I certainly think that this is a very good way to play. So there we go, another system covered. So we've covered now the symmetrical system. You've got 2 good ways to play against that variation. Okay, so let's move on to the next thing I wanted to cover. I'm trying to cover as much as I can think of. I want to give you as good as products as always. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and I really want to make you get your money's worth and more when I do something, and I do work hard for this. So the next position is now an idea I didn't cover because it was only came popular after I made a DVD. And that is the following. Okay, I'm going to get to the critical position, so I'm going to go through the moves quickly. And this is after we play knight bd2 here. Now, instead of moving the bishop to d6, Wesley So was the first player to take on d4. And the idea of this is, well, first of all, you've got to decide what you take with. Now, in actual fact, every top player takes with the e-pawn. This is the more dynamic way to play. I mean, I think if you take with a c-pawn, you have chances to be slightly better here with risk-free. It's like an exchange Slav. Unfortunately, your knight's on d2 when it would rather be on c3 in this position. But the bishop on c8 is a very bad piece because it's trapped in. And if you look at our bishops, well, we have the f4 bishop and this bishop coming to d3. So I think white has better pieces here, meaning he's slightly better. The knight can always reroute on d2 later on, but can the bishop reroute on c8? Not really, because you can't jump over pawns. So this is a simple way to play if you want a positional, slow game. But if you want more, then e takes is the way to play. And now knight to h5, and here there are two options. This is the whole point of black's play knight to h5. Without knight to h5, white is better because you're playing against this bishop again. And you want a castle, play on the king's side in these types of structures. But after knight h5, there are two ways to play. Now, the way I would recommend is the way that Sergei Karyakin has recently played, only a week ago or so from filming this video. And that is with bishop g5. And the point is, if bishop e7, which I don't believe is a great move here, well, you can swap off this bishop for a start, which is an annoying piece of yours, and go g3, embarrassing the knight. But you also have ideas of knight e5 in some positions, again, hitting this. So after bishop g5, f6 is pretty much the only way black can play. And now Sergei plays bishop e3, black develops, bishop d6, and now he goes bishop to b5. He's trying to control some of the central squares by pressurizing a knight that is defending those squares. And after something like castles, his plan is to castle and then move the knight to e1, embarrassing the knight on h5. And this, I think, is a good way to play. But you know, it keeps all the pieces on, interesting position, and this is certainly, I think, a good way to go. But it does seem, if I was black, this system, I think, will gain in popularity, and this is a good defense for black, in my opinion. I think the positions are quite even, but they're still unbalanced. There's still a lot of fun, but it's early days, so who knows? Maybe white's going to find a fantastic plan, but the theory is still in its infancy in this position. And Wesley So's idea of taking on d4 is certainly an interesting idea. But the downside of this is, if black needs to win, this is not a good move because white has the option of c takes when white really shouldn't lose. Now, the other way you can play against this is to take with the e pawn, and after knight h5, you can play bishop e3 immediately, and then after bishop d6, knight to e5, getting tactics going. And I think this might be the kind of area I would start researching in for an advantage for white. g6 kind of forced, and now g4 is very interesting. And I'm not going to go too much into this. I'm going to let you guys go back and do a bit of your own work. This is the more risky way to play. This is worth investigating, this system. But at the moment, this is probably one of the best ways black can play against the London system, in my opinion. Okay, the next thing I want to look at, still more to go, I want to get you covered, is I've got a couple of games in this, so we're not going to go through them. I covered that. Is the next thing, let me just check. Yes, is this, and I think this is really important, and it's really rare. It's quite secretive, actually. I've let the cat out of the bag here, and I'm probably going to ruin all my preparation for future tournaments, but hey ho, that's the way it goes. Knowledge, passing knowledge on, has its costs. That's why you should buy the course to make up for it. So the next thing is against the king's Indian defense. So after d4, I'm still going with bishop f4, g6, and now I'm still going with knight c3. This is where you put your knight on c3 when g6 is played. If I'm given a chance, I'll play e4, and I think if I get e4 in, white is better. So d5 is critical. And now I originally suggested e3 followed up by Harry, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with this, but I do think the best move in this position, and it's a move that's only been played, I don't think it's ever been played by anyone over 2400, so it's still in its secret infancy, is f3. And I think this is the most demanding on black's position, just trying to go e4. And this can lead to some fascinating possibilities. Again, I'm not going to go into too much theory here because I'm just showing you, keeping things as simple as I can. I don't want to over confuse you, and you might need to watch this video a couple of times in order to get the gist of what I'm saying. But if black does play something like bishop g7, then we get our planning. We go e4. And this is very pleasant. We're going to go queen d2, castles, e5, bishop h6, checkmate, blah, blah, blah. And we've got our center. We've got a nice position. So I think black is advised to go c5. And now the point is we go e4. Boom. Boolakasha. as Ali G would say, and that is very old reference there. And now black really has two main options, to take on e4 or take on d4. Now, the reason I really like this line is that taking on e4 I think is the most natural. And in this position, we play d5. And this is a very dangerous gambit. Why? Well, those of you, this shows you why knowing lots of different openings a little bit, and the patterns, mainly the patterns, can help your knowledge in the openings you play, because you can steal stuff from other openings. Now, look at this position. This is basically like an Albion counter gambit, but a couple of tempos up. What is the Albion counter gambit, I hear you say? Well, the Albion counter gambit, I'm going to now go back to move 1. So picture this position. We'll come back in a second. The Albion counter gambit, let's do a little bit of board flipping. Flip, my friend, flip. Is d4, d5, c4, e5. Boom! And after pawn takes e5, d4. Boom! And this is the Albion counter gambit, where your normal plan is to develop. But if you compare it to the gambit that we get, so I'm now going to flip back, so picture that. And let's have a look. And the gambit I give is e4, pawn takes d5. Well, now we've got 1, 2, 3 extra tempo. And, well, not necessarily 3, because black's had a couple of moves, but these extra moves certainly help white. And you get something here where your plan, what's your plan? Let's just tell you your plan. If I was white here, I go queen d2, castle's queenside. Again, if my opponent castle's kingside, I'd put Harry into motion to try to open up the rook and checkmate here. I'd play bishop h6, I don't know what that is, like a Twix. Swapping off the bishops to weaken my opponent's king. I'd also put my bishop on c4. I've got really easy development. Maybe I'd go d6 at the right plan. And it's very natural, free-flowing kind of position, this. So I really like this f3 move. And if c5, e4, taking on d4... Now, I haven't got my analysis board up, so I'm just going to cheat here and put on Komodo. Well, Komodo gives us as a nice advantage to white for two possibilities. Knight to b5 is 1, and the move which I think is better is just simply queen takes d4. And you've got a lot of pressure on the center. You're ready to castle. Cool, Komodo doesn't half make my computer go... I think my computer's going to explode. Oh, it does. Now, I actually got a warning message. High CPU... Oh, I better turn it off. My computer... It's too slow to deal with Komodo. Komodo's destroying my computer. It can't handle Komodo's brain. You know, it's like I'm putting Einstein into, you know, putting Einstein's brain into my body. I would explode with all that blooming knowledge. So yeah, this is a very simple way to play. Knight c6. We can just keep developing, I guess. Bishop b5, and we have this pressure against the pawn. So this is another little advancement. I like this f3 move. It's more full frontal. It's more aggressive than the other options. It's very rare. It has a lot of benefits to it. Now, I think generally, let me just check my work file. It took me a good couple of hours getting all this together and doing my research. Well, more than that. Yeah, that is my work. And that's really everything I think you need to know with the latest theory in the London system. And I hope that has helped you. Now, of course, you can buy the whole DVD from the Chess Base shop. Also, if you just check out my YouTube videos, I've got very good and simple videos on the London system there. But this is really to cover any missing things and any advancements that have happened. So thank you for watching that. And of course, in good salesman patter, as we do, to be sure. Please do buy my course. It really would help me and my development. But I'm going to leave you again, me talking about the course, and I'll give you a link. So if you're sick of my bloody proverbial sales pitching, you turn off now. Go on, get out of here. And do remember, there's a stream tonight if you get this in time. But if you want to hear a bit more of my pittle patter, then here it comes again. Tough luck. So, okay, and I'll see you again soon, hopefully tonight for the stream.